What? Hi again, welcome back to JP Ball Reviews. I'm Jeff Piroozshad, and we're going to take a look today at the all-new MOTIV Trident Horizon. The Trident Horizon uses the same core as the Trident Nemesis before it, but this ball uses a new blend of cover stock from the Jackal Legacy and Forge Flare, the Coercion MXC big hooking cover stock. But this one is hybrid. As you can see, there's pearl blue that goes along with solid black and solid pink. So it's going to be a mixture, maybe 1 part pearl, 2 parts solid. And the ball that I'm using today, the layout is 43 degrees by 5 1/4 by 25 degrees. So let's get into some shots. I'm going to start off playing to the right, and then we'll move in as we go and then do some comparisons. The one thing you'll notice right off the top is that this ball is nowhere near as dull as the Jackal Legacy or the Forge Flare. The cover prep is a little different. It's 4,000 LSS, whereas I believe the other two were at 2,000. So this one actually looks like it almost comes lane shined out of the box. And it's really good because this core is a much higher RG. It's going to want to get down the lane. Sometimes you can get into some problem where you have a high RG ball, but a really, really gritty, grabby cover, and the ball kind of fights itself. It doesn't know whether it wants to go long or it wants to hook early. So here you've got some pearl in the ball to help it get down the lane. You've got the much higher RG to help it get down the lane. And you can see this ball just lopes through the heads. It's not really revving very early, and it's saving much of its energy for the back end, where I have to admit the back end was a lot more angular than I thought it was going to be. Because the Coercion MXC cover that's on the Jackal Legacy and the Forge Flares, not the most angular cover in the world. I mean, it's very, very high friction. It wants to grab the lane. It wants to use its energy earlier because it's a heavy oil cover stock. I was surprised that this ball was able to, with just taking the cover down a bit and making it a little less grabby, that it was actually able to get down the lane so well and save its energy really well. So I think it's a good match to have that cover prep for this core. They really work well together, and it allows you to play a lot of different places on the lane. You can play right and it'll get down the lane and still give you some angle, and you can play left and it will also be able to hook a bit. So for that reason, this is really one of the more interesting balls I've thrown in quite some time. So let's get into some comparisons. First, we'll do the Trident Nemesis because it has the same core. And you can see it's a little more responsive in the back end on the drier part of the lane, but it's a lot less responsive in the oil, as you can see here. It's not going to grab as much as the Horizon. So if you need something to get down the lane, the Nemesis will be a better pick. Here's the Legacy, and you can see the cover just wants to grab the lane. It's so strong. But also, if you get it to the right too far like I do here, it might not have the energy to come back if it's a little too dry, so you might have to move left like I do here, get it to where the ball's a little more in its element, and use that power to your advantage. So here's a Forge Flare, not the cover prep that comes out of the box. This one I took to about 3,000 and let lane shine a little bit, just so I could kind of match the cover on the Horizon. And you can see it revs more in the mid lane, and it's not as angular on the back end. And when you miss right, it can get back, but it gets back more on the power of how much it revs up in the mid lane and grabs the lane there instead of what it does on the back end. Here's a Jackal Legacy, a Jackal Flash, and this one's all back end. This is pure pearl with a much stronger core, a lower RG core, and this ball just wants to rev up as much as it can without hooking, and then as soon as it hits the dry in the back, it just explodes. And so you've got all these different shapes in the MOTIV ball chart on the top end of the chart, and you can really kind of tailor and fit what you want and what you need based on the lane conditions you're encountering. So we're moving left here a little more to see what it does playing more the inside part of the lane, nearer to the middle arrow. And I was actually impressed that this ball was able to make it back to the pocket from these really steep angles that I'm playing. The Horizon core, that's the same as the Nemesis. The Nemesis wasn't really a left to right and then left kind of ball. It wasn't that super angular. off the spot, it really wanted to rev up, but rev kind of forward into the rack. And the Horizon's a lot more angular. It's kind of interesting how different that the reactions are with the same core just because of the cover change. So that's the Trident Horizon. It releases on April 14th of 2021. If you like what you see, please go down to your local pro shop and pick one up. As usual, thank you so much to MOTIV Bowling and Carlos Tabone here at the Kegel Connection Pro Shop in Fort Lauderdale, which I should say is now the only MOTIV Maniac Pro Shop here in South Florida, if you happen to be down here in the area. That means that they're guaranteed to have MOTIV balls in stock. So if you're looking for a MOTIV ball, just stop by and pick one up. Thanks very much, and see you next time.